On February 21st, 2021, a grown man was seen on Facebook Live confessing to what he had just done to his girlfriend and her family.
On my soul, bro. On my soul, dude. Like, I'm hurt. I'm hurt like a motherfucker, G. I'm hurt like a motherfucker, dude, because I can't even believe I just did, and I don't even know what just pushed me to snap like that, dude. I don't even know what just pushed me to snap like that, G. That shit, I just lost it. I just lost it, bro. It's over with. It's over with, G. All that, man, look. Ain't no motherfucker, motherfuckers ain't gonna see me no more, G. I ain't running. I've been on a run over a year and a half. I'm not running from these people no more, bro. They come get me, bro. They come get me, bro. They come get me. That's all I'm gonna say is they come get me, Joe.
This is Larry, in a panic after he had emptied the whole clip of bullets on his girlfriend Lasagna Agee, the mother of his son, her grandmother, and her uncle. What is more disturbing is that in his confession, he continued to say he loved her. But the question is, why did he hurt her and her family? The reason is plain chilling, and that's what we're...
Look, you're gonna see him. He spoke with her something, and then he comes out of the car. And when he start with her, with your daughter. You see? He's coming out.
He shot her, and my brother, and my sister was running, so he shot my sister.
And you know what?
Then he in the car again at her.
Yeah, and
because his car was rolling and he had to get in.
We're going to riddle.
I love that woman dearly, bro. I love her dearly, bro. I love that lady dearly, bro.
Lasagna's story will leave you questioning who you trust. This case takes us all the way to Chicago. Known as the Windy City, it is famous for its stunning skyline, deep dish pizza, and rich history. With a population of nearly 3 million people, it's a city full of stories, some inspiring, others heartbreaking. It's here that we find the story of Lasagna Agee, a mother of a young son who endured unimaginable pain and heartbreak, but showed remarkable strength. Lasagna Agee appeared to have a happy life. She was a loving mother and a dedicated partner. On the outside, things seemed good, but behind closed doors, she was living a nightmare. She was in a relationship with a man named Larry, who abused her, both mentally and physically. Despite her love for him, his constant torment made her realize she needed to walk away. That decision, however, would come with a terrible price. At first, their relationship seemed perfect. They had a son together in 2017, and everything seemed to be falling into place. But soon after their child was born, things started to fall apart. Small disagreements about daily life turned into full-blown fights, and those fights became something much darker. The 24-year-old had a job at the United States Postal Service, and because she wanted to build a good life for her son, she started another small business online, selling cosmetics. To make more income, she had graduated from Proviso East High School and was seen as a woman full of potential and drive. But behind her brave smile, she was going through physical and emotional torture by none other than Larry. At first, she stayed. She loved him, and she had built a family with him. She thought things would get better, that it was just a phase. But the abuse only got worse. It reached a point when Lasagna feared for her life. She started to believe that if she didn't leave, Larry might one day kill her. This was not easy for her. Lasagna didn't have many people to turn to. She had lost her mother at a young age and didn't have a strong family support system. She felt trapped, vulnerable, and alone. But deep down, she knew she had to find a way out for herself and her son. After enduring years of torment, Lasagna finally made a brave decision. She secretly moved into a new apartment and didn't tell Larry where she was living. She even got a restraining order against him. It was her way of saying she had had enough. She wanted to create a safe and happy home for her son, far away from the fear and pain she had been living in. But her plan didn't go as smoothly as she had hoped. Somehow, Larry found out where she was living. He ignored the restraining order and forced his way into her new home. When Larry showed up, Lasagna called the police, and they came quickly, but he ran before they could arrest him. Lasagna thought she was finally done with him. She believed the police would catch him soon, and she could start her new life in peace. But the very next day, everything changed. When Lasagna came home, she found Larry waiting for her. He had been hiding in her utility closet, and shockingly enough, he had a gun. Her grandmother was already present and did not notice, and he threatened them both. He was furious, not just because she left him, but because she signed the lease for a new apartment without his permission. He destroyed her apartment in a fit of rage, breaking windows and causing so much damage that her landlord told her she had to leave.
Niggas be hoes. Niggas be hoes.
Once again, Lasagna found herself with nowhere to go. Feeling defeated, she returned to Larry thinking it was her only choice. But life with him only got worse. The abuse became more frequent and more violent. She often had visible injuries like black eyes and went to the police several times to report him, but nothing seemed to change. The abuse continued and she felt like no one could help her. Around this time, Larry didn't just threaten her, he began to threaten her family members too. Lasagna loved her family deeply, and she decided to endure his torment quietly to protect them. Therefore, she believed that if she stayed with Larry, he might leave her loved ones alone. But his behavior only grew more cruel, and this is what I mean. One day, Lasagna had saved up enough money to buy a car, which was supposed to be a small step toward independence. But Larry ruined that too. He drove the car into a garage, damaging it badly. This limited her ability to go anywhere, and he used it to control her movements because she could not drive anywhere again. The stress of it all started to take a toll on Lasagna. She couldn't focus at work anymore. She began skipping shifts, partly because of the injury she had and partly because the emotional strain was too much. Her supervisor noticed something was wrong and asked her what was going on. When Lasagna opened up about her situation, her supervisor took her concern seriously. They even arranged for some of her coworkers to walk with her after work so that she wouldn't be alone. The Postal Service also offered to relocate her to a safer place, giving her hope for a better future. She started saving money again and even bought another car, keeping it hidden this time. But she made one mistake. She took photos of the car and kept them on her phone. One day, Larry found the photos. When he confronted her, his anger exploded. He destroyed the car too, driving it into a pole and breaking its windows. Lasagna was devastated. She told Larry she wanted to leave, but his response was even more shocking. He took their son and disappeared. He used their child as a way to control her, making it clear that she couldn't escape him no matter what she tried. Her hope began to fade, and she found herself trapped once again. Every time she tried to take back control of her life, he found a way to crush her spirit. Lasagna had no choice but to keep enduring his abuse, hoping for a way out someday. But she had no idea that the worst was still to come. Lasagna was desperate to get her son back and went to the police for help again. But they told her this was a custody issue and not something they could solve. Since Larry was the boy's father, not a stranger, the situation became even more complicated. But still, Lasagna didn't give up. She sought legal help and managed to get another restraining order against Larry. She hoped this would force him to leave her and her son alone. But even with the restraining order, Larry didn't stop. According to Lasagna, he told her, "You won't see your son again until you come back to me." She filed a police report, but they told her the same thing. This needed to be resolved in court. Despite the heartbreak, she kept going. She returned to work determined to save money and build a safe future for her and her son, hoping that she would get him from Larry. She even bought a third car, knowing that having transportation was crucial for her plans. But just when things seemed to be looking up, her job took an unexpected turn. One day, her supervisor called her into the office. They informed her she was being let go. Lasagna was devastated. Her supervisor explained that a customer had complained about her, claiming she had stolen mail and left it in the trash. Shockingly, the trash included documents that proved her identity, including her son's birth certificate. Lasagna knew the accusation wasn't true, but she couldn't prove her innocence. She later realized it was Larry who had set her up to lose her job. Just another way for him to keep her under his control. But even after all that, she didn't stop trying to move forward. She searched for a new apartment and even worked on fixing her car. Then, she saw an ad for an apartment that seemed perfect for her needs. Despite a nagging feeling that something wasn't right, she decided to check it out. When she arrived, she was horrified to discover that Larry had set up the fake ad to lure her in. He was waiting for her and begged her to come back. When begging didn't work, he threatened her again. Lasagna didn't want to go back to him, but she also didn't want to risk leading him to the place where her loved ones were hiding. She reluctantly returned with him, hoping to see her son again. Once back in his control, she began looking for another opportunity to escape. This time, she wouldn't leave without her son. Eventually, she found her chance and escaped with her child. But even after that, Larry didn't leave her alone. He kept showing up, demanding she return to him. He became more and more unpredictable, leaving Lasagna constantly on edge. But then, on February 14th, 2021, Valentine's Day, something happened that completely turned her world upside down for her. She got into her car, planning to drive somewhere, when she heard a noise coming from the back of the vehicle. She stopped the car to check and was horrified to see Larry. He had hidden in her trunk and waited for her to get into the car. To make it even more unsettling, he had left a sweet-looking Valentine's gift in the back seat, as if it was some twisted gesture of affection. Lasagna couldn't stay at home anymore. She began hopping between hotels, desperate to protect her family from Larry. She knew he was becoming more violent and feared he might hurt someone close to her. But at this point, even the people around her were hesitant to help. They believed she would eventually return to him again, just as she had in the past. But then, on February 21st, 2021, everything changed. Security cameras captured an event so chilling, it shocked everyone.
I guess he's ready to
waiting for him to shut the door.
Yeah.
So it looks like he left.
He left
and came around the corner, came back around.
So your brother moved, and that's when he's standing up behind the car.
For her to park, right. Because he had moved the chair out the way.
Mm-hmm. Look, she's parking.
Yeah, he moved the chair out the way so she could park.
So look, he's coming back again. Oh my God!
He backed back once she parked.
When see her parking, it happens in less than a minute. He's coming out. Look, you're gonna see him. He spoke with her something, and then he comes out of the car. And when he start with her, with your daughter. You see, he's coming out.
He shot her. My brother, and my sister was running, so he shot my sister.
Mm-hmm. And you know what?
Then he shoots in the car again at her.
Yeah, and
because his car was rolling and he had to get in.
Mm-hmm. That's the only way he drive away, because the car start driving himself.
Because if it wasn't for that, he would have kept on shooting.
Mm-hmm. So now your daughter opened the door, and the baby
crawls out the car.
The baby crawls through her. And then that's when it happened. Like when I start calling the 911 to get out the kid on the way, because in my mind I thought
he was gonna coming
back and shoot, start shooting again. And I told my husband, let's move away the baby from there.
This was the moment that would change Lasagna's life forever. It was the moment that revealed just how far Larry was willing to go. On February 21st, 2021, Lasagna AG had just returned home to the 7800 block of South Muskegon in Chicago. After a long day at work, she parked her car and was still sitting inside when another car pulled up beside hers. It was Larry. He was someone she once trusted, someone she had a child with, but now he was the source of her worst nightmares. Larry spoke to her through the car window, trying to convince her to come back to him. He wanted her to get into his car, but she refused. Lasagna stood her ground, telling him to leave, but Larry wasn't ready to walk away. Her uncle stood nearby, behind their cars, possibly sensing the tension. That's when Larry got out of his car, pulled out a gun, and pointed it at her uncle. Without hesitation, he fired. Her uncle dropped to the ground, wounded. Lasagna panicked. She tried to run toward her house, but Larry turned the gun on her and started shooting. She was hit and fell to the ground. Her grandmother, who was nearby, was also targeted. But Larry didn't stop there. He then turned to Lasagna's car where their young son was sitting and fired multiple shots into the vehicle. He emptied the entire clip into the car, bullets flying everywhere. Lasagna's son witnessed the entire incident. The young boy, too small to fully understand the horror around him, luckily survived the bullets fired into the car. He got out to help his mother. He tried to soothe her, saying, "Come on, Mama, come on." It was a heart-breaking moment, one that would stay with him forever. He was trying to help me. He said, "Come on, Mom, she later recalled. But sadly, he would have to grow up knowing that his own father tried to take his mother's life. The sound of gunfire attracted neighbors, who began to gather calling for help. Larry, realizing what he had done, fled the scene. But instead of hiding, he did something no one had expected. He went live on Facebook.
I love that woman dearly, bro. I love her dearly, bro. I love that lady dearly, bro. I'll never see another birthday. It's over with, Joe. If you love me, nigga, say that shit. Cause this gonna be the last time they never say it. If you love me, nigga, you really love me, nigga, call my phone, cause it's gonna be the last time you gonna be able to say it, Joe. I just f***ed up. And ain't nothing I can do about it. Ain't nothing I can do about it. I just f***ed up, bro. And that shit with me, that shit got me. I just threw everything away. Ain't no coming back from this, bro. Ain't no coming back from this shit, bro. Ain't no point in me going against no. If any motherfucker got a problem with me, let that be known right now. Let that be known right now. Any motherfucker got a problem with me, let it be known. All this secret fake on you. Any motherfucker, bro. Any motherfucker. I'm over with. I'm already over with. I'm done talking about it now, but I ain't think about it. But motherfucker don't know what a nigga be thinking about on a daily basis when you gotta sit there and you gotta think about this before you get to the motherfucker. The real thought that you need to have in your head. You going through so much out of man. On my soul, bro. On my soul, yo. Like, I'm hurt. I'm hurt like a mother. I'm hurt like a mother. Cause I can't even believe I just did, and I don't even know what just pushed me to snap like that, yo. I don't even know what just pushed me to snap like that, yo. That shit, I just lost it. I just it, bro. It's over with. It's over with, G. All that, man. Look, ain't no motherfuckers ain't gonna see me no more, G. I ain't running. I've been on a run over a year and a half. I'm not running from these people no more, bro. They come get me, bro. They come get me, bro. They come get me. That's all I'm gonna say is they come get me, Joe. My soul, and they better come ready. They better come ready. My soul. Any more problem right now, the time is to get it right now, bro. I'm putting up on any more my kids, bro. Hey, nigga, you know what I've been through to get here, bro? You know what I've been through to get here, bro? And the slightest thing, bro. I just threw everything away, bro. Like, I just bro. I just up. And then I didn't judge. They finna judge me. I love that, bro. That shit. That's the part about it, bro. I'm gonna stay strong, G. I'm over with, KT. It's over for me, KT. I hope you enjoy knowing me.
In the video, Larry ranted about the incident and his relationship with Lasagna. His words were full of regret and anger. He repeated that there was no going back from what he had done. Larry rambled about how he felt people didn't understand him. He claimed he had been under so much pressure that he finally snapped. He admitted he didn't know what pushed him to do it, but he was tired of running from everything. He told his viewers that he knew the police would come for him, and that it was the end for him. Throughout the video, Larry tried to explain his action, saying he had been speaking to a friend about how he felt trapped and out of control. He claimed he wanted people to understand what was in his heart, believing that once he was caught, law enforcement would destroy his reputation and make him out to be worse than he thought he was. But it was clear, even he knew there was no justification for what he had done. Back at the scene, Lasagna and her family members were rushed to the hospital in critical condition. The bullets had struck her 11 times, yet miraculously, none of the shots hit vital organs. Most of her injuries were to the lower part of her body, with her pelvis and right leg taking the brunt of the damage. Her liver was also severely affected. Despite the trauma, she was alive and grateful to have survived. Her grandmother and uncle, though seriously injured, also survived. Her uncle had 8 bullet wounds, but against all odds, he pulled through. The attack left scars, not just on their bodies, but on their minds. The pain and fear from that day would stay with them forever. At this point, the police quickly identified Larry as the prime suspect. Witnesses from the neighborhood also came forward, sharing what they had seen. It was no mystery who had committed this horrific act. Larry, the father of Lasagna's son, and her abusive ex-partner, was responsible. When reporters later spoke to Lasagna, she recounted the terrifying events of that day. She expressed her disbelief that she had survived after being shot 11 times. She was thankful for the fact that she survived this tragic nightmare. She also believed that Larry targeted her family members because he didn't want any witnesses to his crime. His actions weren't just an attack, they were an attempt to silence everyone around her. Despite everything, Lasagna survived, as did her family, but the emotional scars were deep. and the trauma would be something they would carry for the rest of their lives. At the time of the attack, Larry was still on the run. This left Lasagna in constant fear. She worried that he might return to finish what he started. The fear was overwhelming, making her feel trapped and uncertain about her safety. But eventually, law enforcement tracked down Larry. After weeks of searching, they found him in Louisiana. He had been hiding in an apartment on Mary Jane Street in Mansoura. Larry eventually surrendered without incident and was taken into custody. He was brought back to Chicago, where he faced charges for his actions. Authorities charged him with 3 counts of attempted murder and 3 counts of aggravated battery. For Lasagna, this marked a turning point. While she was still recovering from the attack, she knew that Larry being caught meant she could finally start to heal. She opened a GoFundMe page asking for help to rebuild her life. In her plea, she shared how grateful she was to have survived. Lasagna explained how hard it was to leave an abusive relationship. Many people think it's simple, but she said it nearly cost her life. Her GoFundMe page quickly gained support, raising more than $11,500 to help her start over. The incident left a permanent mark on Lasagna's life. She had been betrayed by someone she trusted, a person she once loved and shared a family with. But she hoped that her experience would inspire others to seek help and leave abusive situations before it was too late. This case also raises questions about the role of law enforcement. Lasagna had filed multiple reports about Larry's behavior, but no serious action was taken until the shooting happened. Could the tragedy have been avoided if authorities had acted sooner? What if her complaints had been treated with the urgency they deserved? Many wondered how different things might have been if someone had stepped in before it escalated to violence.
Out there that thinks that he was right or justified in his actions, it ain't nothing she could have did in this world that made her deserve what she went through. It don't make nothing that made her kids deserve what they watched their mama go through. So I urge you all to stand up as a community, as a family, and stand united and show up at these court dates, because he don't deserve to go home.
In the late hours of July 29, 2021, a woman was found dead in Katy, Texas. The woman was 36-year-old Valerie Junius, a mother to 6 children living in Roaring Oaks Lane in Katy, Texas. At around 8 p.m., several gunshots could be heard in an apartment. But when police got to the neighborhood, they found 2 children crying in pain from wounds they had sustained. The shocking events did not end with this discovery. Later, in an apartment, a woman was found lying on a driveway, shot several times with 1 gunshot to the head. She was dead on the scene. What the officers found during the investigation will leave you heartbroken. This is the very tragic story of Valerie Junius. By the way, if you like the way we present these stories, or if true crime cases are your kind of thing, please like the video and consider subscribing to the channel for more stories. For you to better understand the people in this story, let me share their backgrounds from Katy, Texas. Katy, Texas is a vibrant city about 30 miles west of Houston. Known for its family-friendly atmosphere, excellent schools, and strong sense of community, it has become a popular place to live and raise a family. While Katy's violent crime rate is below the national average of 22.7, its property crime rate is notably higher than the national average of 35.4. 36-year-old Valerie Junius was born in 1985 to her mother, Gloria Junius. She grew up in Chicago, Illinois, and was known for her loving, joyful, and vibrant personality. But what happened next would set off a chain of events that no one could have imagined. Valerie found love when she met 53-year-old Lawrence Reed, and the two eventually married. While the two already had children from their previous relationships, their relationship seemed to be flourishing, and it wasn't long before they welcomed more children into their growing family. In September of 2012, Valerie and Lawrence welcomed their first child together. Just 4 years later, they welcomed another child. The couple had a full house of children ranging from 4 to 20 years old, creating a family that became Valerie's entire world. Being a devoted and loving mother, she poured her heart and soul into ensuring the happiness and well-being of her children, who ranged from 4 to 20. Every decision she made and every action she took was driven by her deep-rooted desire to give them the best life possible. Nothing could prepare her for what lay ahead. Seeking a fresh start, Valerie chose the beautiful city of Katy, Texas, as the place to begin afresh. The family packed up and left Chicago for Katy. Family was Valerie's priority, and her dedication to her children was all she wanted. However, cracks began to form in her marriage. As time passed, Valerie grew increasingly unhappy, and the relationship started to have issues. According to Valerie's family, there were moments when Valerie appeared genuinely happy and content, but those were overshadowed by longer periods of deep unhappiness. She frequently found herself searching for an escape from the relationship, but what appeared harmless at first would soon reveal its true nature. The chaotic nature of their marriage often drove Valerie to seek solace away from her husband. She would spend some time with friends and family in her hometown of Chicago, finding comfort in their support. Over time, the strain of the relationship became unbearable, and Valerie made up her mind to leave him permanently. By the summer of 2021, Valerie had reached her breaking point. Determined to leave the marriage, she packed her belongings and returned to Chicago to stay with her loved ones. While it wasn't unusual for Valerie to visit her hometown, the length of this day was strikingly different. Little did she know what was about to happen next. On July 28, 2021, Valerie and her youngest child had stayed in Chicago for a full month before returning back home. Valerie's family expressed that she had returned with a clear intention to end her marriage with Lawrence, once and for all. As expected, this decision had enraged Lawrence. While Lawrence was home alone, he began sending strange text messages and mentioned a gun. Upon returning from their trip, the family searched the house, discovered a .40 caliber handgun, and discreetly removed it from the premises. On the evening of July 29th, just one day after her return, Lawrence had written a heartfelt message to his wife in a card, expressing how much he loved her. Despite being in the same house, he sent text messages asking her to come upstairs and read the card in front of him. Meanwhile, Valerie was downstairs spending time with their children and grandchild from her 20-year-old, and she repeatedly declined his requests, insisting she didn't want to come up. After some time, Reed said goodbye to their two young children, ages 8 and 4, who were upstairs with him, made his way downstairs to confront his wife. If only she had known what was coming. When Lawrence got downstairs, Valerie was on the phone with her mother, Gloria, when she and Lawrence got into a heated argument. Gloria would later express that during the phone call with her daughter, Valerie, she heard Lawrence in the background threatening Valerie that he was going to kill her and the kids. However, Valerie had no idea she was moments away from the unexpected. A few moments later, there was chaos as the conversation took a horrifying turn when Valerie's mother heard the sound of 7 gunshots over the phone. Unfortunately, he had another pistol the family was unaware of. Lawrence grabbed the gun and shot Valerie multiple times in the stomach and arms. Lawrence also shot Valerie's 20-year-old daughter, Octavia, who was visiting with her 1-year-old child in the chest, but she managed to pick up her child and hid in the closet. It was a heartbreaking moment for Valerie's mother, Gloria, as she listened helplessly to the final moments of her daughter's life being taken away in such a brutal and unforgiving way. But then, the worst was yet to happen. Despite her injuries, Valerie managed to run out of the house, desperate to save her life. However, Lawrence, who had made up his mind and was filled with cold-blooded rage to end his wife's life by any means possible, began to chase her. Just as Valerie reached a neighbor's driveway to seek help, Lawrence caught up to her, cornered her, and delivered a fatal shot to her head, ending her life in the most callous way imaginable. Seconds after the shooting, the neighbor whose driveway Valerie had reached, Ivory Jackson, who had already heard the previous 5 shots, decided to run out of his home to investigate. To his shock, he found Valerie lying on his driveway, riddled with gunshot wounds.
I hear all the kids now, and I see him come up and he's like, talking crap to the kids, and he shoots that way, then he shoots this way, and I see the kid go like this. That's why I run up and I'm like, man, dude, what's going on?
Acting as any good neighbor would, he bent down to try to help her, only to hear the most heartbreaking words he might have ever heard in his life. Lawrence returned and coldly instructed Ivory not to help Valerie, stating she was already dead and that he had shot her in the head. When Ivory looked at Valerie's head, he could see the gruesome evidence for himself. At this point, Valerie's children began running out of the house. Her 16-year-old, Javante, saw that their stepfather Lawrence had shot their mother, just when they thought the nightmare couldn't get any worse. The most devastating event unfolded. In the presence of Ivory Jackson, Lawrence opened fire on the children, intending to harm them as well. A bullet struck Javante in the arm, but luckily, the other children were left unharmed. After shooting his stepchildren, Lawrence fled back into the house. Upon hearing the multiple gunshots, something that barely happens in the neighborhood, Ivory Jackson's sister Candace immediately placed a 911 call. Deputies from the Harris County Sheriff's Office quickly arrived at the scene, only to witness one of the most horrific incidents the neighbor had ever experienced. They discovered Valerie's lifeless body lying on the ground, riddled with multiple gunshot wounds. Adding to the tragedy, they found her 2 children, also suffering from gunshot injuries. While the children miraculously survived the attack by the man they once saw as a father figure, Valerie was not as fortunate. She had been shot a total of 7 times and was pronounced dead at the scene. Octavia was found in the closet, and the injured children were transported to the hospital immediately.
Just around 8:45 last night, as police arrived at the home here on Roaring Springs Road, authorities say the wife was found dead in the driveway, her 16-year-old son and 20-year-old daughter taken to the hospital with gunshot wounds.
When police attempted to arrest Lawrence, they discovered he had barricaded himself inside the home and was threatening to take his own life if anyone came into the house. He would shoot them. This led to a tense standoff with law enforcement. The police had to make a decision, and fast. Hostage negotiators were called in immediately and spoke with Lawrence for approximately 25 to 30 minutes, eventually persuading him to surrender and come out of the house. Lawrence was immediately arrested, taken into custody and charged with murder and 2 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. His bail was set at $1.7 million. Investigators now faced the challenging task of uncovering the motive behind Lawrence's heinous actions. Why would he take the life of his wife and attempt to do the same to his stepchildren? As the investigation progressed, a troubling history of ongoing domestic violence issues between Lawrence and Valerie came to light. It was confirmed that Lawrence became enraged after learning that Valerie intended to leave the marriage, a revelation that tragically led to the devastating events.
Out there that thinks that he was right or justified in his actions, it ain't nothing she could have did in this world that made her deserve what she went through. It don't make nothing that made her kids deserve what they watched their mama go through.
Lawrence Reed, 56, was convicted by a jury of murder and sentenced to life in prison. In addition, Reed was convicted of 2 counts of aggravated assault against family members for shooting 2 others during the violent episode. He received a maximum sentence of 20 years for each of the assault charges. All 3 prison sentences will run concurrently. Valerie's family, friends, and community were left heartbroken by the unimaginable brutality. Even more shocking was the lack of any apparent warning signs or clues leading up to the tragedy. Loved ones described Valerie as a loving and devoted mother who always prioritized her children, showering them with affection and doing everything in her power to ensure their happiness and well-being. In the aftermath, Valerie's cousin, Stacy Terry, set up a GoFundMe account to help raise funds for the care and support of her 6 children, now left to navigate life without their mother. On August 1st, 2021, a vigil was held to honor Valerie's memory. Family, friends, neighbors, and even strangers gathered outside her residence on Roaring Oaks Lane in Katy, Texas, the very site of the tragic incident. The vigil featured a heartfelt balloon release as a tribute to her life. Over the weekend, following her death, the family also held a memorial to mourn and celebrate Valerie's legacy. As the wounded children began their challenging journey of physical and emotional recovery, their lives were forever changed by the aftermath of this senseless violence. Loved ones reassured them and their siblings that they would do everything possible to care for and support them. While the tragic case of Valerie Junius highlights the devastating consequences of a crumbling marriage turned fatal, the heartbreak doesn't stop there. Another horrifying incident unfolded, a mother and her young son caught in the deadly crosshairs of bitter rage. In the early hours of November 28, 2024, a woman was found dead in Bainbridge, Georgia. The victim was 36-year-old Shandora Vantra Adams, a devoted single mother of 2. What should have been a peaceful Thanksgiving instead became a day of unimaginable horror. At around 10 a.m., police received a call from a couple reporting that a mother and her son had been shot inside their apartment. When they responded to the scene, they were met with the most tragic sight. There wasn't just one body, but 2. But the nightmare didn't end there. Just a few miles away, police responded to another call. Another body had been found in a parking lot. Police pieced together these discoveries to make the most horrific case I have yet covered. This is the harrowing story of Shindora Adams. By the way, if you like the way I present these stories or if true crime cases are your kind of thing, please like the video and consider subscribing to the channel for more stories. For you to better understand the people in this story, let me share their backgrounds from Bainbridge, Georgia. Bainbridge, a city in Decatur County, Georgia, is nestled in the southwestern corner of the state. Located about 40 miles north of Tallahassee, Florida, Bainbridge combines small-town charm with picturesque beauty. Known for its rich history, scenic rivers, and welcoming community, the city offers a quiet, rural lifestyle. Bainbridge enjoys a relatively low violent crime rate compared to the national average of 22.7. 36-year-old Shindora Vontra Adams, affectionately known as Dora by friends and family, was born on January 4, 1988, to parents Tammy Harris and Forrest Adams in Bainbridge, Georgia. Raised by her hard-working mother alongside her sisters, Shindora stood out as the vibrant and fashionable one in the family, celebrated for her creativity and love of style. She graduated from Bainbridge High School in 2006. Shindora was admired as a sophisticated young lady with a caring personality, a boss lady attitude, and a deep passion for entrepreneurship. A proud mother of 2 children, a 19-year-old son, Tyan, and a 17-year-old daughter, Tamila, she balanced her personal life with remarkable professional success. Shindora's social media profile reflects her bubbly personality and pride in her accomplishments. Beneath her polished exterior, she was a determined fighter, managing 3 businesses: Dora Professional Tax Services, Dora's Hair Fashion, and Adams Box Trucking Company, LLC, all while raising her children and pursuing her dreams. Shindora's path to success was not without its struggles. In 2021, she faced a nightmare when she was falsely accused of defrauding her employer of $63,000. Arrested and humiliated, her mugshot was circulated in group chats, tarnishing a reputation she had worked hard for. She had no idea she was moments away from the unexpected. Her name was dragged through the mud, and her children enduring bullying because of the accusations. But Shindora refused to let this setback define her. Determined to clear her name, she fought back, spending $15,000 in legal fees. In 2022, she was acquitted and all charges against her were dropped. Her children remained her greatest motivation. Her son, Tyan, was a senior at Bainbridge High School, shared her determination and ambition as he aspired to follow in her entrepreneurial footsteps, and planned to pursue a career as a truck driver after graduating in 2025. Her daughter, Tamila, inherited Shindora's passion for fashion and was preparing to graduate, ready to take on her own path in life. While the close-knit family had overcome many challenges together, it won't be long before everything would come crashing down sooner than they thought. In 2020, Shindora Adams crossed paths with 36-year-old Jamar Calloway, a man who initially seemed like a perfect match. Charming and hardworking, Jamar appeared to be a supportive partner. Before long, Shindora, her children, and Jamar moved in together, forming what seemed like a promising family unit. However, beneath that exterior was a terrifying past that not even Shindora knew about. Jamar Calloway had a history of violence and control and was even arrested in 2014 for assaulting a previous girlfriend. A beaming red flag Shindora likely didn't know about. At first, their relationship seemed perfect. Shindora and Jamar appeared happy, frequently sharing loved-up videos on social media that painted a picture of bliss. But this facade didn't last long. Jamar's true nature began to surface, shattering the illusion of a perfect relationship. By December 2022, their relationship started to go down the drain, and the couple would often get into arguments with Shindora's son repeatedly stepping in to protect her from Jamar. Shindora called the police on Jamar several times after he physically assaulted her. Despite the constant fighting, Jamar refused to change. Hoping to salvage their relationship, Shindora suggested they take some space apart. But Jamar, unwilling to accept her need for separation, blatantly refused to leave their home. Jamar's manipulation continued as he constantly painted himself as the victim. This would push Shindora to make a decision. This single decision would change everything. By early 2023, Shindora had enough. She didn't want any part of the relationship anymore, so she ended it, filed for a restraining order against Jamar, and publicly declared her intention to focus on her children and her future.
You see that girl right there? Whoever gets to love her next is gonna have a hell of a time trying to prove to her that you're not like the rest.
However, Jamar refused to accept that Shindora was done with him. If only she knew that wasn't the end of this love gone sour. Jamar wasn't ready to let go of the relationship. His behavior turned obsessive. He began stalking Shindora on social media and showing up unannounced at her home. Fearing for her safety and her children's, Shindora took extra precautions. She decided to arm herself for protection and purchased a firearm. However, restraining orders and weapons meant little to a man like Jamar Calloway, whose obsession and desperation only grew. Therefore, Jamar made a selfish and calculated decision that would shatter every life involved. On November 28, 2024, Thanksgiving Day, Jamar, being unable to cope with being dumped by Shindora, decided to break into her home, armed with a gun, and wanted to confront her. They quickly got into an argument when Shindora demanded that he leave. As always with their arguments, Shindora's son, Tyan, stepped in to protect his mother. Jamar responded with an unthinkable violent act as he pulled the gun and shot Shindora, just when they thought it was over. After murdering the woman who had built a life he didn't deserve to be a part of, Jamar Calloway wasn't satisfied. He went on to commit an even more tragic and senseless act. He turned the gun on Shindora's son, Tyan, who had bravely tried to protect his mother, and shot him in cold blood.
The GBI is investigating what appears to be a double murder-suicide that happened on Thanksgiving Day. The GBI identified the victims as 36-year-old Shindora Adams and 19-year-old Tyan Adams.
Killing both mother and son, Jamar fled the apartment, leaving behind a scene of unimaginable heartbreak and loss. Jamar fled to Ocala, Florida, where his parents lived. However, instead of going to their home, he went to the parking lot of the ED Cross-Ski Recreation Center. From there, he called his parents, confessed to his actions, and revealed his location. In a final act of cowardice, Jamar turned a gun to his head and pulled the trigger. What he didn't know was that his parents had already contacted the police to report his whereabouts. What officers discovered upon arrival would leave them speechless. When the police arrived at the scene, they found Jamar suffering from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. He was rushed to a local Florida hospital and placed under guard. Immediately, police were also dispatched to Shindora's home, where they found her lifeless body and that of her son Tyan, both confirmed dead. However, little did authorities know the story was far from over. A warrant was issued for Jamar Calloway, charging him with 2 counts of felony murder and 2 counts of aggravated assault. Just as it seemed justice was beginning to take shape, an unexpected twist happened. A few hours after being admitted to the hospital, Jamar died of his self-inflicted injuries, robbing Shindora's family of the chance to see him held accountable in court. The family of Shindora Adams and her 19-year-old son Tyan was beyond devastated. They were left grappling with an unimaginable loss, with Tamila left with the heartbreaking burden of losing both her mother and brother in an instant, taken by a man who should never have had the chance to harm them.
You killed my sister. You know you did it. Ain't nobody got to lie on you. You killed my sister. Look at you just sitting right there looking guilty as, because he's guilty, y'all. Look at his face. Look at his face, y'all. Look how guilty he is.
On the 11th of October 2023, a pregnant young mother getting groceries out of the trunk in her parents' driveway was shot multiple times in front of her parents' home in DeKalb County, Georgia. This fatal crime was witnessed by her 8-year-old son, who was also outside the home. 31-year-old Raisha Hurd was murdered by her ex-boyfriend and father of her unborn child, Justin Lewis, who was identified by witness reports and evidence from a doorbell camera. After the murder, he continued posting on social media and engaging with posts from her family members as if nothing happened. This is the story of Raisha Hurd, a mother to 2 amazing boys whose life was taken in the most unjustified way possible. Before we get into our story, we would love to extend our deepest condolences to the family and friends for Raisha Hurd. Also, We would like to take this crime case as a close reminder to all of us, still living, to be careful with who we accept in our lives. This story would take us to DeKalb County, Georgia, where the incident took place. Our story focuses on Raisha Danielle Hurd, also known by her close friends as Rain. She was a loving mother of two, who was just 31 years old and had so much more to give to the world. Raisha was a woman with a big heart. Everyone who knew her could see how much she loved her kids. They were her life, and she would do anything to protect them. She had a good relationship with her parents, especially her dad, and even as an adult, she remained close to him. She would meet a man named Justin Rene Lewis, popularly known as Mad Music Cali as his stage name. He was an aspiring rapper trying to build his career.
Lately I've been focused on my craft. Caught me young Dexter way I'm locked up in my lab. On this road to riches, I just hope I never crash. I know it's hard to make it out.
He was a real hustler. He was always ready to showcase his talents and was slowly becoming popular in the music industry. He was able to promote his music and got the opportunity to meet with some big personalities in the music industry like DJ Khaled and Diddy.
Now take the coat.
That was nice, man.
Already.
He seemed like a responsible person with a clear plan for the future. When Raisha met him, she thought he was someone she could trust. What she didn't know was that Justin had a dark past, one that would eventually catch up to her in the worst way. When Justin came into her life, she probably saw him as just another step in her journey, a new chapter that maybe, just maybe, would bring something positive. But Justin wasn't just another guy. He was dangerous, and there were signs of that from the start that perhaps were not considered. You see, Justin had been married before, and the way his first wife, Sydney Dalcour, died was chilling. Sydney, just 25 years old, was shot in a way that looks oddly similar to how Raisha would later be unalived, as we will look at in this video. On May 18, 2017, Sydney Dalcour was found shot to death in her running car outside a New Orleans apartment complex. Justin was never charged in Sydney's death, and to this day, her death remains unsolved. However, the sister of Sydney, Tracy Dalcour, said when she was interviewed that Sydney was married to Justin for 5 years, and he was really abusive to her. He fought her a lot, he gave her black eyes, and he put her in the hospital. She had to have staples in her head considering the depth of her injuries.
So she was married to Justin for 5 years. He was really abusive to her. He fought her a lot, like he gave her black eyes.
Raisha didn't know all these details about Justin's past. Or maybe she did and chose to take it lightly, but she would soon learn how violent he could be. Raisha found out she was pregnant. While this news would bring joy to most people, Justin didn't feel the same way. He didn't want the baby, and he made that very clear. In fact, he started threatening her, trying to pressure her into getting rid of the baby. The situation escalated so much that a few months before killing her, he even tried to shoot her. The only reason she wasn't shot that day was that the gun's clip fell out. Justin even admitted that he told her to her face that he couldn't shoot her because the clip fell off. Can you imagine how terrifying that must have been? Knowing that the person you're in a relationship with, someone you've shared your life with, is actually trying to take your life. Raisha didn't go to the police with this information because she was pregnant with Justin's child. Maybe she thought it would get better, or maybe she didn't want to cause more trouble. She stayed quiet. Unfortunately, this would empower Justin to make his next attempt on her life. On October 11th, 2023, Raisha was outside her parents' house with her 8-year-old child. That day, she wanted to have dinner with her parents, so she had gone to buy groceries to make a meal. Raisha and her son were unloading groceries together when Justin showed up. Without hesitation, Justin shot her 5 times right in front of her child and fled the scene. She was shot twice in the back, once in the chest, leg, and her head.
A DeKalb County family still reeling after someone shot and killed a young mother in the family driveway. It happened on Kelly Chapel Road. Raisha Hurd's family tells Fox 5 her 8-year-old son watched it happen.
Luckily for their family, The entire attack was caught on a Ring doorbell camera. It is horrifying to think that a human is capable of such pure cruelty without considering his actions and how they could affect others. Now, you would think someone who just murdered the mother of his child would be caught immediately, right? But no, Justin wasn't arrested right away. For 10 days, this man roamed free. He was on the run, using social media to taunt Raisha's grieving family, making posts and going live saying he was being framed.
This is a girl I used to mess with, you feel me? Like, so, I don't know what to say about that. I feel like if they people felt like this, they spreading the rumors through the internet.
In a live video, he called Raisha someone he used to mess with and accused her family of spreading rumors about him being the culprit responsible for her passing.
Crazy how everybody try to bring you down when they really don't even know what's going on.
So the girl who got killed, that wasn't even your baby mama?
Nah. The one from now, like the one that they saying, it could have been a possibility, you feel me?
So that was your current girlfriend?
I ain't got no girlfriend at all. You feel me? Only thing is my wife. That's the only girl, you feel me, that
Right.
ever, my wife.
Furthermore, the rapper claimed there was only a possibility that he could be the father of Heard's unborn child. Imagine the horror of losing a loved one and then seeing her killer openly mocking your pain online. Justin didn't seem to care about what he had done. It seemed like he only engaged the case online because of the attention it was getting, just so that he could benefit from its fame. Raisha's niece said that she actually posted that he was wanted and that the police were going to find him, and Justin liked the post. He found joy in aggravating the family, and he wanted to show them that there was nothing that they could do to him. Raisha's family was shattered. After 10 days of liberty, Justin was apprehended. He was located in Forest Park and taken into custody on the 19th of October, according to online jail records. He was booked into DeKalb jail, where he currently remains without bail. Raisha's family related that Lewis's arrest had provided them with a sense of safety and peace.
The family of a pregnant mother killed in her parents' driveway says they're relieved that police have made an arrest now. They say that while the suspect was on the run, he was posting on social media and even responding to their posts. Channel 2's Tom Jones live at DeKalb County, where the family says this isn't the first time they've lost a loved one to gun violence.
They mentioned that they all slept well. Raisha's sister expressed that no one felt secure while Lewis was at large, stating her relief that Justin had been captured and emphasizing their desire for no other family to go through a similar experience.
I'm just happy that Justin is captured because we don't want anybody else to experience this. No other family.
The family revealed that Raisha had ended their relationship with Justin due to his abusive behavior, stating that he had mistreated her for years.
This is a person who has mistreated her for years.
Although he was apprehended, the damage was done. Raisha was gone, her kids had lost their mother, her family was left to pick up the pieces, trying to make sense of a loss that should never have happened. Raisha had been a rock for her family during the tough time, always being there to support them, and now she is gone too. We cannot begin to fathom the amount of emotional damage this dear family would be going through. It's hard to understand how someone can walk into your life, seem like they belong there, and then turn into your worst nightmare. Raisha probably never imagined that her decision to be with Justin would lead to this tragic end. He had appeared to her as a responsible man, but he changed in the course of the relationship. She had been abused by him, threatened by him, but because of her unborn child, she might have thought that things would get better, or that he would change. But to Justin, she wasn't someone he wanted to be with, let alone start a family with. Rather than allow her to keep the child like she wanted, he thought that he would take matters into his own hands and terminate the pregnancy along with Raisha's life. And while there is no justification for his cruel actions, we can assume that perhaps he was heavily influenced by hard drugs and other intoxicants. According to research, homicide is the leading cause of death for pregnant women in the United States, rather than other illnesses. Women in the United States are more likely to be murdered during pregnancy or shortly after giving birth from the 3 leading illnesses: high blood pressure disorders, hemorrhage, or sepsis. Raisha's murder didn't just affect those who knew her. It touched everyone who heard the story. It was a harsh reminder that people can hide their true selves for a long time, and sometimes we only see the real danger when it's too late. Raisha wasn't the only one who loved Justin. His 80,000 fans on Instagram probably thought that he was a humble upcoming rapper, but he ruined his life by committing this crime. A very heartbreaking fact is that Raisha's story is not unique. So many women face similar situations every day. Raisha's story serves as a warning, a call to anyone who might be in a similar situation. If someone is threatening you, if someone is showing signs of violence, don't ignore it. Reach out for help. She leaves behind her friends and family who remember her for her warm, beautiful smile and character. And even more painful, she leaves behind 2 beautiful little boys who have to grow up without a mother. Witnessing the death of a mother can leave deep emotional scars on children, impacting their mental health and overall well-being. Such trauma can lead to feelings of confusion, anger, and helplessness, often manifesting as anxiety or depression. Children may struggle to process their grief, leading to changes in behavior, school performance, and relationships with peers. They might feel isolated, thinking no one can understand their pain, which can further exacerbate their feelings of loneliness and despair. Hopefully, Raisha's children get all of the help and attention required to pass through this trying stage of their lives. Some netizens believe that part of the blame for this crime lies with law enforcement. The family of Sydney strongly believed that Justin was responsible for her death.
Police really felt like they dropped the ball. They would have paid more attention to her case. This young lady at Georgia would have never lost her life.
And they tried to get justice, but because there was no evidence, Justin was set free. Thankfully, there was the doorbell camera in Raisha's case. But if that was not available, Justin would have denied his involvement in this crime and would not have been convicted. If the case from years ago had been taken seriously, he would not have murdered or even met Raisha. What are your thoughts on this? Regarding homicide laws, Georgia classifies homicides into several categories: murder, voluntary manslaughter, and involuntary manslaughter. Murder is the unlawful killing of another with malice aforethought and carries a sentence of 1 to 30 years, or life imprisonment. Voluntary manslaughter, often considered a crime of passion, can lead to 1 to 20 years in prison, while involuntary manslaughter results from unintentional killing and may incur 1 to 10 years. This means that Justin may get to only spend 1 to 30 years in prison, depending on what the judge classifies this murder as. Currently, he has not yet been to trial, but he is not a free man. A GoFundMe campaign was launched by the family of Raisha to support with funeral expenses, taking care of her children as well, and getting them access to proper mental health. Raisha Hurd's life was full of love, full of potential, and full of hope. She deserved better, and so does every woman facing similar circumstances. Raisha didn't get the chance to escape the cycle of abuse, but her story might just help someone else find the strength to leave before it's too late. What are your thoughts on this case? Could law enforcement have done a better job of apprehending Justin for the alleged murder of Sydney? Is there anything Raisha could have done differently? What do you think came over Justin that caused him to commit such a heinous crime? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section. Thank you so much once again for watching another video. If you like the way we bring you stories or you learned something new. On a Sunday morning, in March 2021, a 40-year-old mother was found dead inside her North Kensington home. The victim was Lauren Charles. She was a wife, stepmother, and friend, and she was found by her husband, 45-year-old Reginald Dunlap, who immediately called the Montgomery County Police.
Got in from church and I think my wife is dead.
Okay. And what makes you think that, sir?
Because she's not breathing.
Okay. Is she cold?
She's like, yeah.
Okay.
Upon arrival, the police said that the scene they found in the bedroom where Lauren was left was shocking. While the rest of the house looked untouched, the bedroom told a different story. It was completely torn apart. Dresser drawers had been yanked out, flipped over, and piled haphazardly. The bed was tipped up against the wall, with red bodily fluid smears visible on its underside. These red stains were everywhere, streaked across the back of the door, splattered on the walls, and even stained the bathroom carpet. Her handprints left haunting marks all around the room. Investigators soon discovered that Lauren may have been asleep when the brutal attack began. This led to the question, why was the entire bedroom destroyed if she was already asleep? What was the attacker looking for? Who could have done this? And most importantly, where was her husband at the time of the incident? Join us today as we dive into the details and mysteries behind the death of Lauren Charles. This story will take us to North Kensington, Maryland, where Lauren lived. It is a quiet and largely residential area in Montgomery County, known for its friendly neighborhoods and closeness to commercial centers. In terms of safety, North Kensington has a relatively low crime rate compared to the national average, making it a safer than average choice in the U.S. Even though this place was safe, Lauren would end up being the victim of one of the worst crimes ever witnessed by the Montgomery police. Let's talk about Lauren Charles. She was born in New Orleans, Louisiana on November 4th, 1980. As the cherished daughter of John C. Charles Jr. and the late Trudy Bartha Charles, Lauren was known for her sharp intellect, love for life, and curiosity. Even as a child, her parents could tell that she was very smart and interested in academics. She attended Benjamin Franklin High School and later graduated from Johns Hopkins University, where she studied public health and graduated in 2003. She then went to Pratt University, where she got her master's in historic preservation and conservation in 2006. As if that wasn't enough, Lauren changed her discipline and went to the University of Oregon School of Law and became a doctor of law in 2011. Within the space of a decade, Lauren had reached the highest level of education. Some of these schools were not easy to get into, so Lauren was very smart, working as an attorney and lead project manager for a company called Lado for around 8 years. Needless to say, Lauren was a successful woman who rose in the ranks in her career and had no financial issues. In 2016, she met her future husband, Reginald Dunlap Jr., or Reggie. They had met online and soon started texting every day. After some time, they both decided to meet in person, and Lauren was excited after their first date. The two hit it off right away, and she almost felt like he was the one she would spend the rest of her life with. You see, Lauren was always putting herself out there in search of the right person. She had hoped to settle down if she found the right person, and at the time, this could be because she had lost her mom and craved having a family, or maybe because she wanted to create an emotional bond after focusing on her career for so long. It didn't take long before her friends began noticing troubling signs. Reggie kept to himself a lot and wasn't very social, and his past seemed unclear. He said he lived with his mother, but Lauren was never able to meet her, and his job situation was always vague. When Lauren attempted to visit the address he gave her, she discovered it was a vacant place with no one living there, only birds and swampland. Just before Lauren passed, she had recently begun to uncover troubling secrets about him. 2 women who had been involved with Reggie while he was still married to Lauren came forward. One shared that he demanded her debit card details and access to her social media accounts. Another victim of Reggie's horrifying behavior was Nikki Peel.
He seemed like a fun guy, if not particularly mature. He did seem like he was someone that was charismatic.
They had dated for a year and a half, off and on.
And we were in bed, and I asked him to close the window. And I asked him probably about 3 or 4 times. I'm like, it's cold, can you please close the window? And then out of nowhere, he just turned over, jumped on me, and he took the pillow, and he proceeded to smother me with the pillow. And then he took his hands and he put them around my throat, and he just squeezed with all his might. And I remember then I could see his eyes. At first he looked angry, but then he just went blank. And I was truly terrified. And I just think I must have sent up a prayer to God or something. And I just, with the last little bit of energy I had, I fought him off. And, he released me.
Nikki says she thinks he only let her go because her roommate was in the room next door. She says she chose not to report it to police because of the shame she felt afterwards.
Another red flag happened when she introduced Reggie to the most important man in her life, her father, John Charles. John, who was a math teacher from New Orleans, had caught a train into D.C. to meet Lauren and her boyfriend at a Japanese garden festival. Everyone knew this was going to be their first meet and greet.
I met him at a Japanese garden festival in Southeast DC. She asked me afterwards when we were alone, what did I think of her boyfriend? And my response was, I need another first impression because this one did not work for me.
But what he saw shocked him. John, trusting his gut instincts, had a bad feeling about Reginald Dunlap Jr. This first impression was terrible because Reggie casually introduced himself while wearing a sideways baseball cap. The greeting struck John as immature and disrespectful because Reggie knew he would be meeting his girlfriend's father, so the least he could do was put in some effort. So John told Lauren that he did not like her boyfriend, but it did not stop her. Over time, John noticed more things that made him uncomfortable, such as Reginald's lack of close friends and his unfinished college education. Still, Lauren's love for Reginald led to their marriage in 2019, and John kept his feelings about his son-in-law to himself.
I have a brother in Fairfax. Well, he was living in Fairfax at the time, and I asked him to speak with her. I thought that coming from me, it would not be received the same way. I did not like the idea that she was marrying him. And his assessment was she pretty much knows what she's doing. I pledged to allow her to make her decision and not interject my opinion. So I stayed out of it from that regard.
He respected her daughter's decision to marry her friend, even as he noticed other odd details. The fact that none of Reggie's friends attended the wedding. John, not wanting to be closely involved in his daughter's decision, talks to his son, Lauren's brother, to talk to her about the man she was accepting to marry. Even Lauren's friends were shocked by this because it seemed like the only person at the wedding were people who knew Lauren. Almost nobody knew who Reggie was at his own wedding. Things were going well until 2020, during the pandemic when Lauren realized she needed a change. Reggie was a man described as a leech by Lauren's friends, someone who clung to Lauren for his own benefit.
Leech, basically is the best way to describe him, who was using Lauren, who he was married to, as his meal ticket for basically everything.
He was telling her her friends made him uncomfortable. Her friends weren't nice to her. I mean, he was isolating her. Him telling her that he was the only way she could have a kid. He was gaslighting her. All of that is abuse.
So she would tell me that she'd have to go out to her car to have to talk to her friends or have to leave the house to talk to her friends because he would use whatever she said on the phone.
That's no surprise, seeing that she was successful in her career and he barely had a career of his own. He managed to isolate her from her friends and family, making her feel as though she couldn't live without him. He would manipulate her and say all sorts of things to her in an attempt to make or break her. These toxic behaviors he had been showing started piling up until Lauren no longer felt safe in her own home. She could not recognize the man she fell in love with and married. It got so bad that at one point, Lauren started keeping a knife beside her bed for protection.
He would go around the house, take pictures of their wedding, from their photos from their wedding, and put them up around the house. She would take them down and he would put them back up in her own bedroom. As part of this manipulation and this controlling behavior.
Look, this woman began sleeping with a knife in her bedroom because she feared her husband. At another point in time, she actually went out and bought mace to have in her bedroom. All of these things were done because she had fears.
She even bought mace, clearly unsettled by the tension in their relationship. By October 2020, Lauren had had enough. She decided to open up to a close friend, sharing that she was planning to leave Reggie. She was starting to uncover the full extent of his bad side. Among the most shocking revelations was that Reggie had cheated on her with 2 women and had children outside the marriage, something he had never mentioned to her. The two would have quarrels, which led to physical brawls, and Lauren was so scared that she started texting her friends, "This has to end. This has to end." After close to 2 years of marriage, Lauren could not take it anymore. She wanted to leave this man, but she couldn't do it up front. She decided to start slowly, and on February 28, 2021, Lauren handed her husband a written notice to vacate the premises by the end of March 2021. Unfortunately, a tragedy happened a week later. On March 7th, 2021, everything changed. A 911 emergency call was made by Reggie, who found Lauren dead in her bedroom.
Just got in from church and I think my wife is dead.
Okay. And what makes you think that, sir?
Because she's not breathing.
Okay. Is she cold?
She's like, yes.
Okay.
When asked questions, Reggie claimed they had been sleeping in separate rooms that night, and when he woke up the next morning, he hadn't seen her. He went on with his day, walking the dogs, eating breakfast, and even went to church. When he came home, he said he found Lauren's lifeless body. What was questionable was that his 911 call was disturbingly calm, almost as if he didn't quite grasp the gravity of what had happened. In fact, the first thing he said when 911 answered was, "I just got back from church." It was as if he wanted to make it clear that he was not at home when the crime happened. When police officers first arrived at the scene of the crime, they didn't fully grasp the horror they were about to uncover. Without sirens, they responded to the 911 call, underestimating the gravity of the situation. Reggie's calm voice on the phone had painted a picture that didn't match what had really happened in the home. But as soon as they stepped inside, the true extent of the crime became undeniable. Lauren had been struck with a statue of Buddha, but that wasn't the end. She had been suffocated with a pillow, making sure she couldn't survive. The actions were very calculated, and even afterward, the killer staged a fake burglary, rummaging through drawers, pulling them out, and scattering their contents. Detectives soon found more evidence of Lauren's desperate struggle. Her fingerprints were smeared on the walls, showing she had tried to move, to get away, to survive. She was still alive when the attack began, terrified, her body fighting against the inevitable. It was clear she had tried to escape in her final moments. This discovery gave investigators a sad image of the horror she endured right before passing away. Further investigation uncovered even more disturbing details. Lauren's Apple Watch, a silent witness to her last moments, had been disabled. It had been broken and turned off, likely to prevent any evidence from being recorded. An Apple Watch that can record heart rates would have been a key piece of evidence that would have told police Lauren's exact time of death. As detectives dug deeper, they found that Reggie had also turned off all his devices that night, reactivating them only after Lauren was dead. Reggie, seeming to be shocked and devastated, buried his face in his hands and sobbed. It was all performance, an attempt to appear sad, but it was suspicious enough to the police. In fact, his alibi began falling apart almost immediately. Montgomery County detectives began hearing from Lauren's friends and family how abusive he was, and also about Lauren's determination to give her husband a deadline to leave the house. The next day, on March 8, 2021, Reggie was arrested for the death of his wife. He did a terrible job of trying to hide the crime. In the house, there was an overwhelming stench of bleach. Evidence soon revealed that he had poured bleach over Lauren's body, likely in a desperate bid to destroy any DNA evidence that might tie him to the crime. Reggie never admitted what truly pushed him to the edge that night, but one thing we know is that it was as a result of Lauren kicking him out of their home. But why he chose that night is still a mystery to everyone. But it wasn't just that night that revealed Reggie's violent nature, but Nikki's testimony would later become very important, helping prosecutors paint a picture of a man with a long history of controlling and violent behavior. 2 years after the crime, in March 2023, Reginald Dunlap Jr., aka Reggie, was convicted. The verdict finally provided some justice for Lauren, whose life had been taken in such a brutal, unforgiving way. Nikki Peel, who narrowly escaped death years ago, bravely read a victim impact statement, telling the court about Reggie's manipulative behavior. For his crimes, Reggie received a life sentence, with no chance of release until he is nearly 100 years old. So it's safe to say that he would not be getting out of jail in his lifetime. Even in sentencing, Reggie's manipulation continued. He claimed to love Lauren and her family and lamented that he'd never had a chance to tell his side of their marital issues.
He said that he continued to love the family, and that he wished that he had known all the things that Lauren was saying to them, because he would have liked to have told his side of the story as to what was happening with their marriage, and had them understand that they were still, trying to work out their marriage, which had everyone shocked that he would continue, even in his sentencing, to try to manipulate everybody into believing that he's the victim in this.
This attempt to paint himself as a misunderstood figure only annoyed people rather than made them pity him. What could you possibly say to defend your action? He claimed to love Lauren, but cheated, manipulated, and even unalived her in the most gruesome manner. Of course, the jury did not listen to his claims. Lauren's father, John Charles, shared that his family and Lauren's friends had noticed troubling signs in her relationship and had been quietly supporting her as she considered divorce. The family could see the strain Lauren was under, and they wanted her to feel she wasn't alone as she faced these difficult decisions. He also mentioned that Lauren tried to speak to her friends, and it took Lauren a while to open up to people. When she made her decision to leave, it was final. She went to a therapist, she went to a divorce attorney, and she visited a deacon at her church. Unfortunately, matters took a terrible turn with Lauren losing her life before people could step in. Montgomery County Special Victims Division prosecutor Debbie Feinstein spoke about the crucial role that friends and family can play when someone they love may be in an abusive relationship. She mentioned that the most effective way to help someone experiencing domestic violence is to offer steady, non-judgmental support, encouraging them to seek professional resources. Toxic relationships can trap individuals in cycles of manipulation, fear, and isolation. Abusers often use tactics like gaslighting, emotional and financial control, and physical threats to exert power over their victims, making them doubt their own perception and worth. Today, Lauren's legacy lives on through various tributes. The University of Oregon's Law School established a scholarship in her honor, and a women's shelter in New Orleans has rooms dedicated to her memory. Those closest to her carry her spirit within them, finding peace in supporting others in her name. Lauren Charles was a beloved daughter, friend, and confidant. Her memory continues to inspire change, encouraging victims to see red flags and empowering friends to understand that abuse isn't always visible. As her story continues, her friends and family remind others that Lauren's strength and kindness live on, inspiring action against abuse. What do you think about this case? Was there anything Lauren's friends and family could have done to help her? Do you think it was always Reggie's intention to commit the crime, or did it happen at the spur of the moment? Let us know what you think in the comments. If you like the way we bring to you stories or you learned something new today, please like this video and consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't yet. As always, remember to leave your thoughts in the comments section below. Perhaps someone learns from your experience or advice. I will talk to you again in another video. It's bye for now.